Hey guys, Kevin here to bring you a brand new video, where today I would like to talk about a film that I just watched recently that left me thought-provoked and slightly puzzled, but somewhat understanding, but definitely wanted to discuss what the hell happened here. Now, the film that I just watched is David Lynch's Eraserhead, another mystifying David Lynch film that made me think, and that wasn't quite as confusing as others, but was not linear, I'd say. Now, there was one David Lynch movie that was linear in my opinion, and that's The Elephant Man. Now, I saw that movie, I think it was great, I think it had a great plot, a great message, but, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to really say about what the hell happened, because you kind of know what's going on in that one more. But this one's unique. Not to say Elephant Man wasn't unique. That was unique in its own way with what it did with that guy. It Eraserhead was interesting in its own way, in that it made you wonder what was going on the whole time, like many David Lynch films do, while also being kind of weird in certain parts and not being very consistent. But what I want to talk about is what exactly was going on in this film. So I'm going to try to give an analysis first of what I think exactly happened in the movie, and then from that I can kind of I'll try to draw some conclusions. That's really all I want to do here, but I feel like talking about it might also help me to kind of draw my own theories maybe, so let me just run through this. So the movie is about this man named Henry who lives a pretty innocent life, just wants to be happy with himself, wants to have a good girlfriend, ends up getting a girlfriend, seems to like her a lot, and they have a kid. Now, the mother wasn't too pleased with this for whatever reason. I mean, I guess it's not surprising. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was because of what this family was. I'll get into that though. So, he had this kid with this girl, and the mother was kind of disapproving of that. And the kid was very deformed. I'm not sure, or very deformed, either deformed or underdeveloped, I guess. I forget what the name for it is for being born before you're fully developed, but I don't think it was that though, honestly. I think there was something going on with that family that caused that baby to be the way it was. I know there was. Something was going on. That's why the baby was the way it was. Now, there's a couple scenes that I know are connected to the movie somehow, but I can't quite put my finger on why they were there completely. For instance, this scene with the chicken blood, where they have dinner. Henry's over for dinner with his girlfriend and the girlfriend's family. He wants to spend some time with them. Okay, fair enough. He's just minding his own business, and the father asks if he could cut the chicken. Okay, fair enough. Because he had a bad arm. Alright, whatever. Didn't think much of it. And then the chicken has blood coming out of it. So, something is going on here with this family that makes them abnormal. And I think it was passed down to the baby. Now, I think this is a dumb conclusion, a dumb theory to make, but I get the feeling that maybe they passed down salmonella to the baby. I don't know. I feel like that's not it, though. It's got something to do with that, though. I know it does. something's not right. Something was awry with that family. I know there was. And later on in the movie, the wife, or I don't know if they even got married, to be honest, the girlfriend comes back after being sick of the baby. She was away because the baby was crying, keeping her up at night. She felt like she couldn't take it, and Henry was kind of like, okay, whatever. He was actually kind of mean about it a little bit when he told her she could do whatever she wants. He doesn't care if she comes back. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not exactly that nice, but alright. But then it gets interesting with this woman in the radiator. So I think the woman in the radiator represents a vision of what's going on in Henry's life, I guess that's how you could put it. I think the woman in the radiator represented kind of what was happening throughout Henry's life. I don't know. I think she was like, she wasn't a real person. I think she was more of a vision. And I think throughout the movie, she represents what's going on in the film. So at the beginning, well, not really towards the beginning, earlier in the movie, she was singing, or I think she was singing, and then these worm things dropped from the sky, just like the worms that were seen inside Henry's girlfriend that he pulled out, because clearly something was wrong with her, and it also had to do with what was wrong with the baby. But when the worms came down, she would step on them and squish them. And I think that was representative of Henry, of the woman in the radiator telling Henry he should fight through it, believe in love, and don't let this abnormality get to him, and just keep fighting, keep taking care of the kid, do what you can, I guess. But then it takes a turn for the worst, and this is where I really theorize what happened in the movie, but I'm not sure if it's completely the theory of what's the movie is trying to get across. So Henry's girlfriend leaves him, and then the woman across the hall. Okay, so from the get-go, she was in the beginning of the movie. I was like, she doesn't look right. You know, you just get that vibe. She's the woman across the hall. I could tell from the beginning she was the antagonist in the movie that represented evil overtaking Henry. Now, woman across the hall, I mean, when you think of that, what do you think of, right? Like, she ends up, well, not having an affair, technically, because Henry's girlfriend had already left him, but she slept with him, it appeared. So Henry kind of like committed to that evil, I think, and he let that overtake him. And I think the child was seeing that pain, especially in this vision with the woman in the radiator, when, okay, this is the weird part though. Okay, so he has sex with her, I'm pretty sure, and then has this vision. I think it's a vision, even though it seemed like it was crossing to real life. I think it was all just a vision. He has this vision that his head gets chopped off, and that it gets taken to this place where this guy makes Eraserheads, or pencils. I didn't know what that meant though. I want to know so bad. I don't know. That's like the one part of the movie I didn't understand. And the name of the movie is Eraserhead, so I know there's some deep hidden meaning behind that. But that's the one part of the movie, besides the chicken blood thing, Even I could kind of draw a theory from that, but the Eraserhead part, like, I could really just not figure out what that was. Like, he was analyzing his head for what? Why? Okay, he took his head. Why? But I think what I could take from that was that, well, first of all, the woman in the radiator, the woman with the weird cheeks, she started singing about heaven and whatnot. And I think it was like Henry saw heaven, or maybe the baby saw heaven in what was going on with Henry. And I think Henry was turning over to the bad side, and when Henry's head popped off, the baby's head popped out. So I think it sounds like I'm talking out of my ass. I'm sorry. It's hard to really be consistent with what I'm trying to think this movie is getting across, but I think what was happening was the baby was envisioning what was happening to Henry, with him going to heaven and getting his head chopped off. Or I guess it was his vision too. I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I think it was some sort of vision of the future of what could happen after he gets overtaken by this this woman from across the hall that he slept with. Now, this is where it gets weird. He kills the baby, okay? So, I think it was because he didn't want to deal with the pain of having to deal with that, I guess. But it was so sudden and weird because he kills it and it reacts in a really weird way when it gets killed. Like, it spews out all this foam. This was not a normal baby. I could tell that for sure by this time. And then the movie just ends. Like, okay. Like, literally, right as he kills it, movie's over. Like, okay. Okay. And I also forgot to mention a notable part of the movie. The worm thing that he gets in the mail. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this represented, but what I can guess is that it represented the oppression that he faced with the abnormality of the baby and the girlfriend and what was going on with that whole situation. I think it was a message sent to him by somebody as to what was going on with his life. And I think at one point he envisioned the mailbox almost like it was there, like, again, after he had already picked up the first worm thing. I think if he had checked his mailbox, which he didn't, there would have been another one waiting for him, basically implying that he was gonna keep having to deal with this and it wasn't going away, just like the woman in the radiator dealt with multiple of those worm things that dropped from the ceiling. Like, they were just going to keep coming and you had to fight through it. But it was a message. The message that was conveyed was that he had to be resilient through that. Like the woman in the radiator was trying to get across. So I think that's what that tried to get at. But, I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. Okay, so as I'm editing this video, I did forget to mention one more notable thing that did happen at the end of this movie. Now, when the kid died, I mean, I feel like that pretty much was the end, but there was one brief snippet at the end that showed Henry kind of like going into a light. So, I don't know, this part's kind of up for interpretation, but I think it could represent him going to heaven, but because he had killed the kid and maybe he wanted to go with him. But I don't know. It could mean something else, but that's just my guess. But honestly, like, this was one of many David Lynch movies that just had me, like, thinking throughout. Like, I love the idea of just, like, always thinking about what's going on. And with this, it's so unpredictable. Like I could kind of predict here and there what could be going on, but it was one of those films that I really just couldn't know what was going on that much. I think what makes films so great a lot of the time is just like being able to like stay so engaged, always want to know what's happening, never get distracted. Like you're so like locked in with the movie, and it was just so like immersive. And like throughout the movie, like my whole face for the movie is just like, that was literally my face. Or like, or at the end, like grossed out. What we can take from this movie is don't let evil overtake you. Fight through the hard times, and love will overpower the bad times that you go through. And don't let things bring you down. Look past the abnormalities. Stay true to love, and just don't turn over to the dark side, because that can lead to bad things. And also a representation of why the woman across the hall, aka the evil, was bad, was that at one point in the movie he knocks on her door and she doesn't answer. So it's like, does that type of relationship stay loyal? No. Would the other type of relationship? Of course. So it's like, this is why you don't get taken over by that. So it conveys an important message in that sense, I think, to just stay resilient, I guess. I mean, Henry could not stay resilient, I guess. But I don't know. I'm really just left wondering though, what did that scene with the pencils mean? Why was his head taken there? Like, I can't think of any good explanation. Like, the child visioned him dying, I guess, and he visioned himself dying. But why did that happen? He wrote something and erased it. I just don't know. Oh well, I guess it's all up for interpretation. I mean, I could be wrong on my whole theory. I mean, I could be completely wrong. You just never know with these David Lynch films. I think hopefully I'm on the right track. I think I am, but yeah, it's interesting to think about though. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video either way, and make sure to leave a like rating if you have, and I'll see you guys in the next one.